Well, hi there. This is Dahlia, and this video discussion, I was originally going to add a subtopic into this one, but that's too exciting, too awesome for me to just throw in there and not make it its own video. So I decided to separate, and I already know what the next discussion I'm gonna be talking about after this video. But today's topic is I want to talk about how younger generations, including my own Gen Z, where the risk of younger generations not being able to achieve everyday goals is coming from, and how we can be better in the future as future educators and just, future members of society, and just people that really are responsible for the way the economy turns, how we can be better at really knowing how we can still achieve everyday goals. So I want to get started on that. So to start off with, this is going to be about explaining the difference between learning to be independent versus learning to be attractive. Now, what that means is we have to first think of what education has always been deemed historically. When we looked at education before, we always saw it from a face-to-face perspective. But as we know, over time, especially when COVID-19 hit, things stopped always being face-to-face. Even with Zoom calls, you can't necessarily call that face-to-face nearly as much as actually being in the same place, in the same environment with somebody. And so a lot of education has stopped being learning to be attractive, where the point is people saw you able to achieve everyday goals because of what you were taught to somebody face-to-face, because it wasn't just the knowledge you were learning, but it was the interpersonal skills you were developing. Over time, because so much education has become online, it's not learning to be attractive anymore, it's learning to be independent. What that means is you are learning not how to achieve everyday goals like paying your rent, getting gas for your car, shopping for insurance, cleaning your room, knowing how to cook, knowing how to clean, knowing how to save, knowing how to invest. Those are everyday goals. Those are not things that you can necessarily say really should be awarded a medal, right? Should not really be awarded a trophy for that, because it's not atypical. It's very typical. Those kinds of goals are very typical. The idea is almost everybody, if not everybody, is expected to know how to do those things, how to accomplish those tasks, how to complete those objectives, how to achieve those goals. Everybody's expected to know how to do that. And so education used to be about, you were teaching people face-to-face to see how the knowledge tied into your ability, your confidence, your self-discipline, your ability to achieve those everyday goals was because of your face-to-face education. Now, learning to be independent says you're not always learning knowledge face-to-face. This could mean even reading a book, right? You're not, somebody isn't actually writing a book with the intent on teaching you interpersonal skills the same way a teacher is actually telling you what a book is about directly to you. But learning to be independent is with the intent on learning how to achieve atypical goals. So what that means is, let's say you have a goal to, like I have, to start a business and to make this business something that exists long after you're gone. That's not something I would say everybody does. And I don't think it should ever be that way, that it's assumed just every day that people start businesses. It's not every day. Most education wasn't about to teach you how to start a business. A lot of everyday education, a lot of education face-to-face was teach you how to work for somebody else's business, how to develop the necessary professionalism to talk to your boss, to talk to your coworkers, to schedule ahead, your work, to prioritize your work, to prioritize your, to develop some kind of healthy work-life balance that ensures you get your work done and all that. And again, just achieving everyday goals. Learning to be independent is more with the idea that you're learning how to achieve non-everyday goals. And, it requires that self-starter energy. And what I mean about this is that a lot of younger generations, because they're being taught more from an independent or non-face-to-face perspective, a lot more than face-to-face, they're being taught with almost with the assumption that everybody is going to have these atypical goals in mind. But the truth is most people do not have atypical goals. Wanting to live on your own is not an atypical goal. Knowing how to, like I said, knowing how to call somebody or talk to somebody about buying health insurance, that's not atypical, but so many people develop anxiety and fear to be able to even achieve these everyday goals, that the problem is that we have to make sure that this, even though technology has been really helpful, we don't want a lot of non-face-to-face interactions getting in the way of people being able to develop the interpersonal skills that face-to-face education has always taught people. We don't want that going away and people no longer able to even achieve unique goals because they can't even achieve normal goals anymore. They can't even achieve regular goals because they haven't been able to be taught how to develop the confidence and the self-discipline to achieve those everyday goals. So if they can't even do those everyday goals, how can people truly expect them to do non-everyday goals? And so that's why, I would specify to say, I think of guitar, how when I was younger, I learned guitar face-to-face. Later on, I started learning guitar to be more independent, to again satisfy this goal of mine that I developed that is just not every day. But I still learned with the intent on being attractive, right? I still learned with the intent to prove that I learned interpersonal skills necessary to achieve everyday goals. And so I still learned guitar face-to-face. I still had a guitar teacher who had experience, who had expertise, who's made a career out of teaching guitar to people. And that's the thing. I'm very thankful for their ability, for a lot of my teachers' ability to teach me interpersonal skills face-to-face, because we need that. People need to know, Gen Z and younger generations will need to know that, yes, even if they do have atypical goals and have the right to learn, not always face-to-face, but learning with the intent on being able to achieve those independent goals versus attractive goals. But the reality is that everybody's going to have to be expected to know how to do an everyday task. And if they can't, how are they even expected to achieve non-everyday tasks? And that's why it's important that we know as educators and future educators to be able to discern the point of face-to-face versus non-face-to-face. But, I hope that other people are in my generation and younger, if they watch this video, they understand that, to say, yes, if I learn face-to-face, the point isn't for me to use that knowledge to achieve atypical goals, but how to develop the ability to achieve everyday goals. And that if you do learn non-face-to-face, if you do learn from non-face-to-face, you know that the point isn't to use that knowledge to achieve everyday goals, but use that knowledge to achieve goals that prove that you're doing stuff that is not everyday. But this has been my discussion on how face-to-face education and non-face-to-face education needs to be addressed. Thank you. I'll talk to everyone soon.